If you really want to understand India, you have to understand its rivers. From the icy peaks of the Himalayas all the way down to the sun-baked plateaus of the south, these rivers are so much more than just water. They're the very arteries that have pumped life into civilizations here for thousands of years. So today, we're going to take a tour of the two major systems that make up this incredible, life-giving network. So, here's our game plan. We'll start with some basic river lingo, so we're all on the same page. Then we'll look at the big showdown, Himalayan versus Peninsula rivers. After that, we'll tour the giants of the north and then head south. And finally, we'll tie it all together and talk about why these rivers are so absolutely crucial. All right, first things first. Before we can dive into the epic story of India's rivers, we've got to get a handle on a couple of key terms that geographers use. Don't worry, they're pretty straightforward. Okay, so when you hear the word drainage, just think of the entire river system in one area. All the little streams and creeks flowing together to form one main river. Simple, right? And a water divide is exactly what it sounds like. It's some high ground, like a mountain range, that acts as a natural barrier, forcing water to flow into one river basin or another. It's kind of like nature's way of drawing boundaries on a map. Now that we've got those basics down, we can really get into the main event. You see, almost all of India's rivers can be sorted into two major groups, and it's all based on one thing: where they were born. Either in the towering young Himalayas or on the ancient, weathered peninsular plateau. And this difference in origin, it creates two totally different kinds of rivers. The Himalayan ones are the young guns, fed by glaciers and heavy monsoon rains. They flow all year round. They're powerful, constantly carving up the landscape. On the other hand, their peninsular cousins are the old-timers. They're a bit more weathered, and their flow really depends on the seasonal rains. Okay, let's start our journey way up in the high Himalayas. This is the home of three of the most important river systems on the entire continent: the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra. So the mighty Indus starts its epic journey over in Tibet, near the sacred Lake Mansarovar. Then it cuts this spectacular gorge as it enters India in Ladakh. After it gathers water from a bunch of tributaries in Kashmir, it flows on into Pakistan. That's where it meets five other major rivers, creating the super fertile Punjab region, which literally means the land of five waters, before finally emptying into the Arabian Sea. And get this, we're talking about a total length of 2,900 kilometers. To put that in perspective, that's roughly the distance from London all the way to Moscow. The Indus is a true continental giant, and that incredible length is a huge part of why it's so geopolitically important. Next up, we have a river that's so much more than just a waterway. For millions of people, it's a sacred goddess, a mother figure, the Ganga. It is the absolute lifeline of the northern plains. The Ganga is actually born when two head streams, the Bhagirathi and the Alaknanda, meet. From there, it flows down to the plains, where it gets fed by massive Himalayan tributaries like the Yamuna. But what's really interesting is that it also draws water from older peninsular rivers to its south. It's this unique mix of water sources that makes its basin one of the most fertile and most densely populated places on Earth. At over 2,500 kilometers long, the Ganga's main channel is about the same length as the entire Mississippi River in the U.S., and it supports this immense population all along its banks. And check this out. Where its journey ends, it creates a natural wonder. The Sundarban Delta, which is built by the combined power of the Ganga and the Brahmaputra rivers, isn't just big. It's the largest and fastest-growing delta in the entire world. It's a truly unique, constantly changing landscape. Our third northern giant is the Brahmaputra. Now, it also starts its life near Lake Mansarovar in Tibet, where it's actually known by a different name, the Tsangpo. For most of its early journey, it flows eastward, running parallel to the Himalayas. So here's a little puzzle for you. The river flows for a really long time through Tibet. So why does it carry less water and less silt there compared to when it gets to India? What do you think? The answer is all about climate. Tibet, you see, is a cold, dry plateau. But once the river takes this dramatic U-turn to enter India, it suddenly starts flowing through a region with tons of rainfall. This completely transforms it into a raging torrent, carrying huge amounts of water and silt. This is what creates its famous braided channel and all those countless river islands you see in Assam. Okay, time to head south now into the truly ancient landscape of the Peninsular Plateau. The rivers here are much, much older than their Himalayan cousins, and believe me, they tell a completely different story. So down here, the Western Ghats mountain range acts as the main water divide. Now, most rivers flow east, but there are two major exceptions, the Narmada and the Tapi. These two actually defy the trend and flow west through these deep cracks in the earth called rift valleys. And unlike the Himalayan rivers that build massive deltas, these guys carve through hard rock, forming deep estuaries, these funnel-like areas where the river and the sea mix, creating really unique ecosystems. But yeah, the vast majority of the peninsular rivers do flow east into the Bay of Bengal. The biggest of them all is the Godavari. It's so huge, it's often called the Dakshin Ganga, or the Ganga of the South. And it's joined by other crucial river systems like the Mahanadi, the Krishna, and the Kaveri. Together, these rivers formed the agricultural heartland of southern India. So we've toured the entire country, from the snowy peaks of the north to the ancient hills of the south. But so what? Why does understanding all this matter so much? Let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture. I mean, it's pretty simple. Rivers are the absolute foundation of the economy. They've decided where people have settled for thousands of years. And today, they're essential for watering our crops, for moving goods, for generating clean hydroelectric power, and even for tourism. They are, quite simply, indispensable. And this right here is why protecting them is so critical. It's so easy to forget that a staggering 97% of all the water on Earth is salty. Of that tiny little 3% that's fresh, most of it, about 3/4, is locked up in glaciers and ice caps. That liquid flowing water in our rivers, it is an astonishingly rare and precious resource. And that precious resource is facing a really severe threat. River pollution is a massive, growing problem that puts these essential lifelines in serious jeopardy. So what's causing it? Well, as our cities and industries grow, they demand more and more water, which actually reduces the amount of water flowing in the rivers. At the exact same time, a heavy load of untreated sewage and industrial waste gets dumped directly into them. This doesn't just poison the water, it completely overwhelms the river's natural ability to clean itself. All of this leaves us with a simple but pretty profound question, one that really gets to the core of why these magnificent river systems matter so much. Protecting them is one of the greatest challenges we face, because in the end, we all have to ask ourselves, what is life without fresh water?